crypto market just blessed us with new information that nobody really has yet. So I want to show you as hopefully one of the first that makes you such better as an investor in the altcoin market. TradingView, thank you. We needed this. I needed this, and I'm so happy we got this. So there's a whole new way to look at the altcoin market. Like, where are we actually? And is it maybe time to dive into some certain opportunities right now? Let's get into this. This is going to be a cool video, man. Welcome to the FOMO Factory. Like the video if you like the video. Subscribe to the channel. Turn the bell notification on so you won't miss out on anything. Most people will probably come whenever the market is up high. And yeah, you know how that works, right? Then it is already a little bit too late, but we will be there to dump on them, right? So let's get into that. Now, first of all, of course, right, the social metrics, they're going up a little bit right now. They were sitting at pretty much zero. And that means opportunity. Bitcoin is sitting at all-time highs, though. Yeah, people don't come into crypto for Bitcoin, right? Your neighbor, whatever, he might look at Bitcoin and says, 110K. I don't have 110K, right? Or I'm not going to make a 10x on that. And that's maybe even true. But they will come whenever altcoins go up. Okay, cool. So what do we need in order for altcoins to go up? Well, we need a lot of money in the market, right? And that money needs to flow into altcoins. Is there a lot of money in the market? Bitcoin is 110K. Yeah, right? Bitcoin is more than a $2 trillion asset. It is crazy. And of course, it's going to be so much more, but it's about this cycle. Cool. So there are a couple charts that we look at occasionally, right, that help us understand, like, hey, how is the money usually flowing? And one of the things, you know, that people look at, like, hey, we need an alt season, is the Bitcoin dominance. And this is all nice, right? Like the Bitcoin dominance, great chart, definitely. But there's a problem with this chart. And I hope you stick around for this, because if you understand these charts, then you know how to read them. And then you probably see things that a lot of other people don't see, right? So the Bitcoin dominance is just simply showing how is Bitcoin doing against everything else. But there's a catch, right? I didn't catch it, but there is a catch. What's the catch? TradingView doesn't, if you look at the Bitcoin dominance, but also if you look at the total crypto market, etc., this is not the total crypto market, right? This is everything within the top 125. And as you can see right here, everything within the top 125 now has a market capitalization of $3.4 trillion, right? 3.4 trillion. Yeah, great. Okay. But how's the rest? Well, if you look, for example, on CoinMarketCap, you can see right here that, if I move my screen a little bit at least, that they have listed 16 million cryptos, right? And the total crypto market cap for those is $3.45 trillion, right? So you'll see that extra 5 being added right there. That's the difference between the top 125 and everything outside of that. So everything outside of that is so fucking small, it doesn't even add up. Now, that's pretty great if you ask me. Why? Well, people say it's hard to make altcoins pump, etc. Bro, we need such a small fraction to flow in coins outside of the top 125, and they will completely explode, right? They can completely explode. Let me phrase it like that, right? So everything, again, outside of the top 125, it doesn't even add up, right? It doesn't add up. But then we can go back to TradingView, and then we'll see how is Bitcoin doing against the rest in the top 125. And Bitcoin has been outperforming that. Fine, great. We also have the total market. Like said, everything in the top 125. We have people looking a lot at the total tree and say, the altcoin market. Yeah, that's kind of like, again, that's everything in the top 125, excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. But then again, also including USDC, USDT, right? And yeah, that's a lot. There's like more than $200 billion in these two stable coins pretty much alone, right? Now, that's just as big almost as others. And that's everything outside of the top 10 within the top 125. So if you look at these charts, of course you can use them, but how realistic are they actually? Again, also, if you look like, yeah, altcoins have been bleeding against Bitcoin. Have they? I mean, yes, they have, right? Of course. But have they done that lately? Are they still going down? Or are they actually finding a bottom right now? And is the reason that we all look at the wrong charts also the reason that people miss out once it goes up, right? Again, if you look at others, Bitcoin, right? Everything outside of the top 10 in the top 125 against Bitcoin. Down, 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 down. Right? And at a certain point, it changes, and it changes fast, right? And it changes fast. And people miss out on Altseason. Why? Because we did not see by this chart that it was creating a bottom right here. And we might not see by this chart that it's creating a bottom right here. And therefore, I want to go over some insane updates that TradingView has done. And if it is actually indeed time to get into altcoins, I found something that I feel like I want to mention this at least. And check it out. Do with it whatever you want. I got in at least, but I'll get back to that. But that's a big Solana project and not just a pump fun coin. No, Solana is backing it actually. And that's kind of huge. It's also quite limited. So first a couple new charts that I found. This is the total to ES. What is the total to ES, right? And I think it is important. This might feel like boring content. Does get a lot of views. Give me the top 10. Fuck that. If you know about this, then you'll be good, right? Well, the total to is everything except Bitcoin, right? So that's Ethereum and all these kind of things. Again, all in the top 125. Goes for everything. But what does ES mean? That's new, right? Excluding stables. Right, so you can do minus USDC and minus USDT and minus DAI and then you'll have some other stables. This just excludes every stable, right? So this is basically the altcoin market. Every single altcoin in the top 125. Last time, disclaimer goes for all these charts, right? But it's just every altcoin. And yeah, if I look at this chart, then I'll be like, hey, people have been not very bullish about altcoins. But if you actually look at the altcoin market, how bad is it, right? How bad is it actually? It's not a perfect line, but how bad is it? It's in an uptrend, right? From the bear market low, right here, until the absolute high, the altcoin market did a 5.5x so far. Right now, of course, you did not buy the low and you did not sell the high. That doesn't matter. But overall, if you look at how close we are to the high compared to the low, if you are in a loss on altcoins, then you either bought the wrong coins or you got in at the wrong time, or even worse, a combination of that. Because the market clearly shows like, hey, I mean, we are further at the high than the bottom, right? So it's not a market issue. A lot of people say this market is bad. No, this market just does what it does for everybody. And if you're not making money out of it, then it's a timing, luck, skill issue. I don't know what it could be, but it's not because of the market, right? However, this includes Ethereum. Okay, cool. Let's exclude Ethereum. Total 3 ES, right? Total 3 is everything excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum and then excluding stable coins. Well, that's looking even a little better. Why? Because Ethereum was a bit of a lagger. And even with the last pump, Ethereum is still kind of lagging, right? If I look at this chart like this, then I'm like, holy fuck. We have been following this trend line since the COVID crash perfectly, actually, right? if we look at actually the right chart, just only alts, but no Ethereum, but the rest is purely alts, then this is how it looks. We are in a massive uptrend, right? A massive uptrend. Again, this is not a real bad looking chart. Is this somewhat of a rising wedge? You could also say that it's more of a flag pattern, right? To talk about patterns. And the flag ball coming from the downside, meaning that's a very bullish pattern, right? But this is a multi-year thing. Like, honestly, who cares if it eventually goes down in 2026 or whatever? I'm not planning to be in altcoins in the bear market anyway, right? But if you look at this chart right here, then it shows like, wow, this is actually a really, really, really bullish chart. And when to invest in certain projects, in my opinion, in new projects or, you know, whatever. Well, whenever the market is in an uptrend, right? Otherwise, there's no bullish momentum. But still when it is low, right? Otherwise, you're buying the top. Well, the uptrend is obvious, right? And we're sitting closer to the lower trend line than the upper trend line. We went to the upper trend line in the 2017 bull market. We went there in the 2021 bull market twice. If we get there once in the 2025 bull market, which is, I think, totally not out of the question, that could be at around $2.2 trillion, right? And then again, I'm not talking about Ethereum. And that doesn't sound like very spectacular, right? It's a 2 or a 3.5x from this point. Yeah, but you have to understand this is, again, only the top 125, right? So the lower caps, and I don't mean the shit coins necessarily, but the lower caps, top 500 kind of stuff, outperforms probably. Now, the cool thing is you can put all these charts against each other and see like, hey, how are high caps doing against low caps? How are specifically alts doing against Bitcoin? How are stables getting deployed into pure altcoins? This is magic. This is like fucking walking into a candy store for me. Although I'm now on a keto diet. I'm very proud of myself and I'm feeling like crap. Thank you. But this is, I love this. Because this gives you not only way better insights, it's also, this has been added a couple days ago, so nobody talks about this yet, right? We don't even have our great friend Benjamin Cowan talking about this. He, and don't mean it as dig though, but he still looks at the total 3 minus USDT divided by Bitcoin, and he says that this is the altcoin market on the Bitcoin pair. Could be, but this includes USDC, this includes DAI, this includes BUSD. That keeps that chart up, right? But it also includes very, very, very high caps and all the other stable coins that are floating around there, right? Like, how real is this picture actually, right? We now have charts that are telling the truth more. And I think that if we can apply our investments or trading strategies based on charts that actually have more accurate information, we can front run a lot of people. So I'm putting all these charts against each other and coming with some conclusions on the Alpha Factory. So check it out down below, because that's, I think, knowing when to be in what, actually, right? Because if you look at the right charts, if you look at the wrong charts, like the total 3, which is a total bullshit chart to me. Like I said, this is the altcoin market. This includes like all these stable coins and maybe certain high caps that you don't even interested. Like, that's not the way to invest, right? But we can now front run people. So the total 3 ES, again, everything but Bitcoin, Ethereum, and stables. Now we can finally look how the complete altcoin market is doing against Bitcoin, and that's the total 3 ESBTC, total 3 ESBTC. So if you have TradingView, go like add this. But what I was looking at a lot at lately is others, right? Others, again, everything in the top 125, excluding the top 10. Right, but then again, yeah, you delete a few stables, but you also exclude a couple high caps. But then again, there are stables deeper in the top 125 that you do include. Like, it's also not the most realistic chart for alts, right? And I put that on its Bitcoin pair, and I'll be like, yeah, that's how alts are doing against Bitcoin. Almost. Now let's take a look at the total 3 ESBTC. This is how altcoins really do against Bitcoin, excluding ETH. And then this is the chart that you get. You know what this chart reminds me of? Of one of the most bullish charts in crypto. Kid you not. Dogecoin. If you look at Dogecoin on its Bitcoin pair, it has a pretty similar chart, right? Where it goes sideways, and in a bull market has a huge spike, sell-off, sideways, huge spike, but it's basically just this flat XRP kind of style, right? Just sideways and bam, up. That's what this chart looks like to me a little bit. And we all know how Dogecoin is like an insane chart, man. But this is showing so much more information about the altcoin market and how they do against Bitcoin, right? If people tell like, yeah, altcoins are not worth it against Bitcoin, they have been bleeding against Bitcoin, it's sitting at the same level as where it was 2 years ago, actually. Right? So, if anything, this looks like the most easy chart for me to trade. And as said before, how does a market cycle looks like? Accumulation, sideways, uptrend, up, right? Sideways at the top, distribution where you want to sell, then downtrend. And then it starts over. Is this chart not the prime example? In my opinion, right? Accumulation, where you buy. Uptrend, where you make money. Distribution, where you sell. Downtrend, do nothing, right? Accumulation, and we had this wick, whatever. Wicks can happen, right? That doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be perfect. Accumulation, where you buy. Uptrend, where you make your money. Distribution, where you sell. Downtrend, where you do nothing. Accumulation. Now, again, what comes after accumulation? Like, and again, it's not like, oh, we can look in the future with this. But then again, if you are a little about market cycles and patterns and etc., then this is the prime example of the most bullish looking fucking chart in history to me right now. Altcoins on their Bitcoin pair, right? This is how they actually look like, right? So it shows to me like, hey, in 2020, we were sitting at a support point. We were sitting at a resistance point. We broke out. And now it's such a typical kind of thing like, hey, after this bull market, we came down and we retest this, right? And that previous resistance is now support. Yeah, and that's the only place ever where you want to buy anything actually, right? So alts on the Bitcoin pair, again, we can take a look at, again, the total 3 minus USDT divided by Bitcoin. And no offense to Ben, but he waits for this. I'm not ruling it out, but then again, I feel like, oh, but this chart is not reflecting the altcoin market, right? Again, there are stables included in this. They keep this elevated because your stables didn't go down, right? But if you exclude these stables, then it already went down, right? Then we are already here. So that's for me the chart that makes me very bullish. Now you can also take a look at the total crypto market excluding stables, right? Then you get this. That's the total crypto market, but no stable coins. interesting because that's also sitting at a new all-time high. And what's also interesting is that if you look at the total three, excluding stables, right? Like we said, that's every altcoin except ETH, right? You see that we did make a new all-time high this cycle. So like we have been speaking about, hey, alts have not been making new all-time highs. Certain alts from the last cycle have not been making new all-time highs. No, but if you combine all these altcoins in the top 125 and you look at the market cap collectively, that has been making new all-time highs. So what's the conclusion? That you should stop fucking around way outside of the top 125 thinking that that's where the money is, right? Because if you stuck with the relative safer altcoins, you would have been making new all-time highs, right? And this is a lesson that you should mostly apply, in my opinion, next cycle. But still, it's something that you can still apply again. Also, if you look at altcoins again on the Bitcoin pair, we know that Bitcoin is doing fine. We know that Bitcoin is not going anywhere. This is sitting at a, like, I'm not saying that it cannot go down, but I am saying like, this is not the typical chart that you want to short, right? Then you're doing the complete the same as saying here, like, yeah, this will go there. Like, it could, but it's not likely, right? And then you again can put charts against each other. For example, this is the total crypto market minus the total crypto market excluding stables. So this is basically showing stables, only purely stable coins, right? And what is it showing? That the stablecoin market is sitting at 230 billion right now. So it is clear, like, hey, here, there were half of the stable coins, right? So there is now so much more to deploy, right? There's so much more to deploy right now. So in other words, the altcoin market looks fucking bullish. That's the whole point. And I got some comments on the channel occasionally like, why you talk about a bull market? It's not a bull market for altcoins. And then I'll be like, yeah, man, you know, maybe not for your altcoins, right? But overall, if you don't make stupid investments too much, of course, I gamble as well, right? But if you don't make that, do that with like 80% of your portfolio, then you will do fine, actually. Right, so to wrap this up, you know, this is a clear pattern to me. Top side, downside, top side, downside, and we're now still at the downside, and it will touch the top again, right? Because that's the range. And why the fuck would you fight the trend? Like, that's the most common saying, right? Don't fight the trend. Stick to the trend till the end of the trend is your friend, or whatever they say it, right? So, yeah, if anything, I look at this and I be like, man, can we go down to the bottom range again? Maybe, maybe not, but we could, right? Okay, cool. That's 25% down. Okay, fine. But what if we go up? That's around 250% up. Is the risk reward now worth it to get in odds? Like, man, what else do you want? Like, this is better than anything else, right? And then you have to, of course, always look, if you look at certain altcoins, like, okay, we got it. The altcoin market looks fucking bullish, right? How's my specific altcoin looking? That's also important. But that altcoin will probably go up if the complete altcoin market goes up. Now, there are, of course, outperformers. We have Solana, which is still one of the biggest outperformers this cycle, right? If you take a look at Solana, then you can see that it's just doing fantastic, man. And even though it's like, you know, for the last 1.5 years, basically flat against Bitcoin, on its own, it's not bad, right? It's not bad. Solana is doing pretty fine, actually. So I feel like, man, if we see this without an alt season, we could have some good times coming, right? Because again, we just saw that altcoins on their Bitcoin pair actually, yeah, they're not in the an alt season, but they are at a major support zone right now, which is the moment to get in chart-wise, right? So then look like, hey, what kind of coins, like, I don't know about Solana, maybe there's something better on Solana. Now, I want to talk really 2 minutes about this project right here. This is a real interesting one, actually. This is not a coin that's out yet, but it's also not a node. It's also not a pre-sale. And that makes me so interested in this. This is Kudis. And Kudis, it's like, try to compare it to Fitbit, right? Does it have a lot of users? Yeah, it has a lot of users. Now, Kudis has already 100K downloads, and this is not sponsored or anything. I got into this, and once you get into this, you get an affiliate link, and then you can share that again. So it's just my honest affiliate link, which you can also use for yourself. But what you can do right here is you can buy a pack, and the pack will cost $500. That's it. I'll leave a link down below if you're interested, but this pack costs you $500 on the Solana chain. What do you get? You get a ring, which is kind of like Fitbit basically, and that ring, if you use that, you will earn their tokens. And it's not like, oh, that's speculative. It's already there. You get it shipped in July. Now, the nice thing is also, it's backed by Solana. Solana is tweeting about them. They have so many interesting followers as well. Big people that I follow. And again, the fact that Solana is actually tweeting about them and backing them makes me very, very, very bullish on it. But it's also that if you buy a Pioneer pack, there are only 3,000 spots. Now, here's the good thing. Once you get that, you will get an airdrop in Q2. Right? So it's not a node where you have to wait for fucking 20 years to get all your tokens. No, when they release in Q2, you will get an airdrop, right? Now, why do I like this so much? Because you might ask, like, how much is that? Yeah, if I knew, then I would not, or will be buying a lot of this, right? So that's of course you don't know that beforehand, right? But then again, and I have 50 rings on my fingers, so I'll look also weird. But the cool thing is with this is that you have to check, like, where is the supply and where is the demand for these kind of things, right? Again, if we look at the total crypto market, is the market bullish to release a very interesting new project backed by Solana that has a really original way of funding? Yeah, I mean, we are in a bull market. We are not in a bear market. The momentum is there. The money is there. It's all there. The outlook on that the market is getting better is there. It's built on the most popular chain, basically. So that all lines up. And while we have that, we don't have a lot of demand, right? Because people, they are mostly bearish on the altcoin market at this point, right? They say, oh, it's bad, it's down, I don't have the funds. And therefore, you also notice that not a lot of people buy that stuff. So the airdrop is getting divided under less people, which means more for the people that do join. And that was my hack, basically, back in 2022 when I started talking about Elysium, right? Because it came out here in April 2023, right? And I was talking about it at the end of 2022, basically in the deepest of the bear market, right? And not a lot of people got into that, right? Because they felt like, yeah, new project, all nice, but hey, I'm wrecked, right? So what happened? We got way more node rewards. And this TGE was like, yeah, it was thousands of dollars for me for a relative small investment. And for a lot of community, like the initial back immediately. Now, what I also like is that they have the same approach when it comes to marketing, listings, talking with the CEXs, etc., as Sonic SVM. And we all know that although it struggles a little bit right now because the gaming niche is just simply not that great, we know that when Sonic SVM came out, Bybit, Upbit, OKX, Maxi, Gate, KuCoin, Kraken, insane exchanges. And therefore Sonic had also a candle like, wow, initials back immediately. And now it's just a free money printer, right? I have a couple nodes and I'm printing free money, right? They have the same approach. when it comes to the way of releasing. And that makes me really bullish. Again, that's of course not a guarantee of anything. For me, it's also hoping that it will do well. And to be honest, I just bought one, right? I feel like I need one ring. I just want one airdrop, right? If you buy you can get multiple, you just get a bigger airdrop, right? Feel like, yeah, I'm rich. I want to get a fat airdrop. I believe in this. I don't know how many are left. I don't know where I can see that. But again, I'm gonna leave a link down below. That's, again, if you buy this, then you get a referral link. It says refer friends, and there's a 10% fee or something like that that doesn't go to the project but goes to the one who referred. So if you buy with $500, I'm gonna get $50, right? And if you spread it, you get $50 from other purchases. So, you know, if I think it wouldn't be good, then yeah, I would not have bought it. Then I could also not end up with a referral link, of course. So it's not like, oh, he's shilling for like, no, I honestly think I like this, right? Therefore I bought it, and therefore I'm talking about it. So do check it out. There are a lot of interesting things to say about this, but the fact that they have an interesting niche, which already has a big demand in the Web2 world, the fact that they are backed by Solana, that their whole releasing / marketing strategy is primed for success, that the market conditions are like pretty much fucking perfect to do these kind of sales. Hey, maybe initial back at TG as well, and we'll see, right? I don't see a big hype right now, so not a lot of people stepping in. So that could only mean that if they get more eyes after the listing, these people will pump the bags, right? And in the meantime, you get a nice ring. You can make it pink if you want, yellow, blue, black. So that's pretty cool. So that's just an opportunity in specific that I want to share, given the market conditions, right? We talked a lot about nodes, etc., but lately not so much, as the altcoin market was a little But I feel like, man, it is holding this so freaking perfect. And again, if it comes down to this line right here, I'll be the first to say like, oh yeah, buy, right? And even if it breaks this line, it doesn't mean it's over. But the fact that we are holding it, yeah, that's fantastic. And the fact that the altcoin market on its Bitcoin pair is not like going lower since the last 2 years, right? Yeah, this was a lower low compared to this, etc. But, you know, overall, it's ranging here for 2 years. I don't know, man. Once this green box and this downtrend meet, yeah, that's party, right? But it can happen before that, because this will take a long time. Right, July 2027, actually, right? I honestly think we can see a very good spike before the end of this bull market. So that's it for today. If you like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn the bell notification on. If you have any questions about these charts, about Kudis, about whatever, let them know down below, and I will try to reply to that. For now, have a nice day, and I hope this is helpful.